Welcome to the Male Mogul Podcast, where we discuss topics that will positively transform the way people live and lead in their communities. Here are your hosts, Walter Mendenhall and Dr. D.T. Shackelford.
Good evening, this Sunday evening, and how you guys doing out there? My name is Walter Mendenhall. I am the executive director and founder of the Male Mogul Initiative. The Male Mogul Initiative seeks to positively transform the way young men live and lead in their communities. And I'm here with my co-host, Dr. D.T. Shackelford. How you doing this evening, man?
I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm grateful. Actually, today is my mother's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
So what a gift
Yeah.
it is to be here. So it's cool. I get a chance to chop it up and speak wisdom with you. So
Most definitely.
there we go. I'm grateful.
Yes, man. Me
Yep.
too, man. Just spent the time over my mother-in-law's house out in Indianapolis. So got a chance to, spend some time with family. Also, my sister-in-law's birthday was on Saturday.
Well, there we
So
go.
special shout out to Jayla.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy
belated.
birthday. Happy
Mhm.
birthday. And got a chance just to spend some time, with my baby. So that's always good. My wife, we went out on a date, so that's good. And business,
Always good.
Always good. Shout out to my wife. Love you. Business is going good, man. The Mogul store, man, we made over $1,000, man, in sales. So, the young boys out there getting it, man. They were out there selling. They're out there, enjoying. They're out there getting that work experience. So it's been a good week, man. I can't complain at all. Can't complain at all. Yeah. So last week, man, we discussed going deep. And we kind of discussed your life story, kind of your background and how you got here to Chicago. And it's just been very deep. And I kind of just want to get even into it further, man, and some of the work that you've been able to do with the Male Mogul Initiative and just the ways you've been able to impact these young people in just a short amount of time. So I kind of want to kick it off, man, and just kind of want to just ask you, man, what do you think is the problem here in Chicago as far as just the young men and the stuff that you see? We know that it's not everything that is going on, but just with the violence and the carjackings, all these things that are going on, man. What do you think is the root of this? As you've been in the schools, talk to the guys, and as an outsider looking in, can you give me some insight?
I think that's a powerful question. I think my initial response is they have a lot of speed and no direction.
What do you mean by that?
And so they're ready to get involved, right? They're ready to be radical. They're ready to be revolutionary. They're ready to be special. They're ready to be leaders. They're ready to be leaders of their community. But there's no direction. And so when you lack direction, they speed down the wrong road. Right. And so what we're talking about is when we're talking about a Walter Mendenhall, right, that, was able to leave, the NFL, with something more than a football in his hand, come back to a community and be able to show the way instead of speak the way. It's something about a person giving direction. And so I think this generation, specifically in Chicago, I think there's a lot of powerful leaders here. I think direction is what we have to start focusing on. And then once you get direction, now I know where to apply my speed. My speed has more power when I know where it's directed towards.
Most definitely. And even with that, man, has I, been here, born and raised, and just been able to just grow up, I've just realized too, man, that it's really not a violence problem, but it's really a man problem.
You are exactly right.
And what I mean by a man problem is that there are a lack of role models, man, and just people, like you said, to show them that direction, show them like, okay, this is the way. And I think there are a lot of males out there, and I think there's a difference between a man and a male that is just kind of leading, a lot of these young people or not even in their presence at all. That's, they're trying to figure it out as they go, and or they're looking up to the guy that's maybe 3 years or 4 years older than them.
Correct.
That really has no direction. And so I definitely understand that. And I kind of also too, man, I've been in the classroom and, I've been a teacher. I've been in these classrooms when you've been teaching that diet. And something that I've never really seen before is kids will cut class to come down to your class. And I never see something like that before. Usually, if you're gonna cut school or cut class, you're gonna go out. You're gonna go to the outside the school, but they're actually coming into your class. And I just kind of want to know, what is it that you're teaching and what is it that you're doing that is just so different or radical than the people that are in there every day.
I attack what most people don't see.
Okay, what's that mean?
It's the spirit.
Okay.
It's the spirit of a particular region or a particular classroom, or it's their spirit that they pick up on me as I walk into a classroom, right? And so before they ever meet my talk or my walk or my movement, they are monitoring my spirit. And so it's like I always talk about silent sermons, and I think I talked about that a little bit last week, but that's the power of it, right? You having a specific demeanor that carries the spirit of positivity, of hope, of truth, of manhood, and that speaks always louder than your words. I believe that your silence becomes primary before your words, right? Before you ever hear me speak, you meet my presence. And when you do that in a specific classroom, you bypass the sagging pants and the tattoos and whatever you may feel like is not a man that's conducive to learning. And I get the most out of those students because what they really wanted is for you to see beyond the borders, see beyond the external, go deeper, go at my spirit. And if you go at my spirit, it won't matter if I got a beer can in my hand or if I smell like dope. I'm coming for your spirit. And when we talk spirits, that's where we start to be linked. We only become disconnected when we start going at each other's exteriors. Your clothes, my shoes, your shoes, my watch, your watch. But we got the same blood. That's beyond what you see. We got the same spirit. We are like kindred spirits and souls. And so when you think in that type of way, you transform classrooms not by what you say, but by who you are.
So basically and I'm just trying to kind of wrap this up in a way, is that you're saying that the spirit goes before you.
The spirit goes before you.
You know, some people might call it energy.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a name. Yeah, we ain't going to let that go without a title, right? We're not going to give that to the universe. Yeah. I'm not giving that energy to something I'm going to give that to the spirit of the Lord.
I understand.
And you asked me at first, what I do over all my classrooms is I pray over every single one of them.
I think that's
at the beginning of every single semester, whether it's summer, whether it's spring, whether it's fall, I make sure to go in my classrooms and I pray over them, because I know the battle, it isn't necessarily physical. It's mental. The battles that they're going through is spiritual. It's these strongholds that's continuing to pull on them. And so when you go at that, then you go at the root. I always say that your fruitfulness is a direct result of your rootfulness. So what are you rooted in? And a lot of them are just rooted in circumstances that they didn't choose.
Got you.
So
yeah, man. Yeah. So I see that you said you bring that spirit in there. You're praying. You know, before you even get there. But when you're in there, like, kind of, what's your philosophy? Like, what do you teach these kids? What is it? What makes them keep wanting more? Because, you know, I know the spirit and this and that, but it's got to be some content. It's got to be something that's hitting them.
It definitely goes deeper, and I think that goes along with how you create a specific curriculum.
Yes.
Right? And so within the Male Mogul curriculum, there's 4 specific pillars that we focus on. It's character development, academic excellence, workforce enhancement, and community empowerment. And so with those 4, you're getting a holistic approach to developing a man. Like, how does a young boy become a grown man? Right? And so that's when direction comes in. Me being a doctor with locks, with a beard, me showing them that, yes, I had a lot of speed, but I listened to the direction, even if it was in a 3-piece suit. Even if it was from the white man with gray hair, even if it was from the homeless man on the corner. You got to go to these different regions to draw from that different well. And that's what I try to teach them within those 4 pillars, is that although I may be teaching you character development, it invariably enhances academic excellence. And then with academic excellence, me wanting to be the best in the classroom, it shoots at my community. because now I'm using the pencil differently. And then you talk about workforce enhancement, and I think I'm going to pat Walt on the back. Something powerful that you do is you teach these young men how to think and how to create their own. And that was something that I was really attracted to, because you will meet people, specifically religious people. Yeah. They're so spiritually high that they know earthly good. And so you taking them to church, but you ain't putting no dollar in their hand. They about to go back to the block. Yeah. So you got to replace whatever you took out their hand. And so if you take the blunt out their hand, you better be putting a pencil in it or a t-shirt in it and telling them create it. Create your destiny. Create whatever it is you see in front of you. And I think that's what you do better than just about any black male that I've been connected to in Chicago. And I think that is what instills in them this sense of pride. And ultimately, when you get them in the classroom, when they see that and they can take ownership of their product, it goes to a different level.
Most definitely, man. And just even going to, for those who are, just tuning in and these things, man, how the Male Mogul actually got started was that I was at a career day on the west side of Chicago in 2016. And I met a young man, great young man, basketball player, honor roll student, but he sold drugs in order to get the things that he wanted. And just during that conversation I was having with him, man, he just really sparked something that was in me. And it was just like, man, after I was done, just speaking to him, I was like, man, how many young men in this city, around the nation, have the gifts and skills to be successful legal entrepreneurs, but not necessarily the exposure and not necessarily the opportunities. And that's kind of how the Male Mogul got started, man. In 2016, it got started really with 5 kids at a church, and it has blossomed to, what we're doing now, man, with work programs, employing over 30 young people within our After School Matters program, and also our one summer workforce program, blessing entrepreneurs in the community with interns and giving them exposure, man. So I definitely understand that. Like, I think a lot of times, and I think what kind of makes the Male Mogul unique is that, we're telling you, we bring that spirit. We bring those faith-based types, principles and things of that sort. But we're also replacing, like you said, that blunt with that dream. You know what I'm saying? Replace it, that pistol with maybe that t-shirt. That's it. Just keep it real.
Yeah, that's it. It's the exchange.
Yeah.
It's the exchange. It's the Mount of Transfiguration if we talking spiritual, right? Yeah. You going to a high place and what you changing the identity, the clothes change, so to speak, by you just putting something in their hand and say, create it. Yeah. And by creating it, you create bigger opportunities for communities. And I think that is the power of developing their or enhancing their workforce.
Most definitely. Yeah. Most definitely, man. What do you think? How does faith and hope play a role in young male development, man?
Yeah. I don't hope that a young man gets better. I trust that he'll get better.
Okay.
Hope is to expect a thing, and trust is to possess a thing.
Okay.
Right? So if I hope he gets better, then that ain't what I want. I want transformation, and I trust that it can happen now. And I think when that happens, you speak to the destiny in a specific individual. And I think that usually helps with how they perceive you and the energy that they give you. It's deeper when they can trust that they know, like, I know Walt is going to be there for me. Not hope, right? They get too many of them in their communities. They hope their dad going to come back from prison. They hoping their mama going to feed them later on, but it's too many times where their hope has been given up. And so now you go at trust. And if they can trust you, that's when you start making souls glow.
So how have you able to build trust in these young men in such a short amount of time being here in Chicago?
I think you have to understand that it's the principle of the interlocked fingers, right? You are not effective or as effective as you could be alone. You need individuals that have the same heart as you. And so I'll always go back to that, because I always believe that if you try to do this type of work alone, you get frustrated very quickly.
Most definitely.
And me not understanding the full culture of a Chicago, I need a Walter Mendenhall to say, hey, this community has been this way, or this community has been this way, or this student, they're responding to this because of this community. I don't have the resume, so to speak, the DNA, the blood type of this region. So I have to sit at your feet.
Yeah.
And once I do that and do the right, the amount of research on a specific community, or I'm taught by you or another individual in the community how to come together, I think that strengthens me. So I'm nothing alone. Yeah. You're nothing alone, but man, we pack a powerful punch when we come together.
Most definitely.
And I believe that is what's happening.
Most definitely, man. I think another thing too, man, that I think what you and me have been able to do is be consistent. And just whether it's just consistent in the assignment, man, if it's just showing up every day with the energy, you know what I'm saying, that you need to motivate, to educate, man, to uplift, man. I think even from you, man, you bring that energy, like, man, that I wish sometimes I had, man. Like, but I think the consistency is the key. If you consistently, if you say what you're going, you do what you say, say what you mean, and really just show them that love, man. And I think love is really consistent. Let's see.
It's, what has taught me the most about my young man, or how to be consistent with my young man, my relationship with my wife. If I can't be consistent under the roof, it's hard to me be consistent up under the roof.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that has shown me, me not really seeing a marriage go 50, 60 years. I never saw that.
Yeah.
My biological parents were never married. So me and my wife, we're coming together through marriage, and through marriage, that's teaching me, how to have patience, or how to always be present in the moment. Right. And so when you learn those principles, then it's almost like, it's automatic when you get in the classrooms, because you've tried to condition yourself up under the roof. I think we try to impact communities a lot of time and be inconsistent up under the roof.
Yeah.
And that's tough. Because when I first met you, I could instantly see your commitment to your covenant. Yeah. And when I saw that, I was like, he may not be perfect, but his commitment to his covenant is connecting me to his spirit. It's something about his covenant, or what he thinks about the covenant. And there's not a lot of people in our age group, right, or in this generation that values it. You feel me? So I love the commitment, and that's ultimately what draws me to people that's in this line of work.
Most definitely, man. And I just think, just as far as for myself, and just starting this thing kind of from the ground up, I know that for me, the blessings and the success has been a direct correlation with my, commitment, not only, with the Male Mogul Initiative, but also in my marriage and in my relationship. And even I know that my destiny and my future is connected with just so, many people. And I know if I were to, blemish or to mess up that covenant, that it can affect a lot of people. And that's always on my mind. And that's what's like, man, I'm putting everything else before myself. And in that, I've realized that, I've been blessed immensely. And this even brings to the story today, and kind of even too, just being vulnerable, being real, just, struggling with the calling. So today, man, just as I was coming to this podcast and I was coming here, I come out my door, man, I see a car that's been hijacked crash into a car that was right next to mine. And it was a Mercedes-Benz, all white. It was nice. And like this car that had bullet holes in it.
Wow.
Crashed into this car. And this car was like right next to my car. And it didn't even touch me. It didn't even touch my car. It was like this close. That Mercedes that got hit by that other car.
Wow.
Was this close to my car, hitting my car, and it didn't, it didn't touch it. And, I think that is kind of like for me, kind of like a not synopsis, that's the wrong word, but it's kind of like I guess I say symbolism in which that, I don't have to be here. You know what I'm saying? And if it was up to my wife, we wouldn't be here. But I know that this is what God has called me to do. And I know this is my calling. In that, though, I know that there are risks. And I know that there are sacrifices not only that my wife make and my son and me are making. I know that there's sacrifices, man, but I also know that God is with us. And I also know that God is with the Male Mogul, man. And just even what we've been able to experience with this abundant growth in the midst of a, pandemic, how we've been able to impact lives, how we're able to raise funds and do these things, man. I just know that it is really just, God's blessing. But with that, man, comes obedience, it comes sacrifice. And, I know even yourself, man, you didn't have to choose to, buy a house on the south side of Chicago, man. When you first got here, you was on the north side, man. But you knew in order to do this work.
It's relocation. And Jesus did it. He left his throne. What make us think we don't have to leave comfort in order to chase a calling? If the Messiah,
say that again, man. Say that again.
So Jesus relocated. He had the best seat at any table. He got his own. He got his own throne. What would make him leave that throne and come get and drink that cup? I was thinking earlier, how dirty was that cup that he told his father, pass this cup from me. What would make him not want to drink what's in his cup? That is what I believe you're talking about when certain people are this close to death and they almost get hit by a car. And every calling comes with a covering, says my wife.
I like that.
And so for you to be covered in the midst of or a lot of times turmoil, it is to confirm the covenant that God has with you.
Yeah.
And not a lot of times with you as much as it is with your obedience.
Yeah.
Obedience is better than sacrifice.
Most definitely.
So I when I look at that entire story and that testimony, man, I think it's very indicative of how you are allowing God to use you. And sometimes that comes with things we don't necessarily sign up for, but how else would you get your power?
Yeah. I'm gonna keep it real, man. Like, I'm gonna act like we just here arrows or nothing, man. And just even, it's actually symbolism of a dream that I had even last month, man. And it was funny. So it was me, my nephew, who was like 11, and it was my son. And we were actually being shielded by a car or whatever. And there was like a shooting. So it was bullets coming through the car. But even though that, in that dream that it was this shooting and all this chaos, I had a peace and I knew we wouldn't get hit. And this dream kind of fast forward into the point where I saw the guy and I had a gun and the guy was on the ground and I had if I wanted to, I could have took his life, but I showed mercy on him and I let him go. And I think what happened today was kind of like a kind of reinforcement. It's like, things are going to happen, but like it says in, Psalm 91 or something like that, 10,000 might fall on your right side, 5,000 at your left, but it won't come near you.
It ain't gonna come near you.
And what you said, and it kind of spoke to me, is that, that calling comes with a covering. So I really, that's deep, man. And that's, just keeping it real, man. It's like, I know that God has me. I know that I'm protected, but at the same time, I know too, each and every day I got to put on that armor, man. You never know.
You never know, man. And Jesus said one time in them red letters in the good book, you should go and learn this principle. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Because what could you really give him? He said, I don't eat the flesh of bulls and goats. I don't eat that. And if I was hungry, I wouldn't tell you. So that ain't what I eat. What I want is your thankfulness. So when you did make it out, the Bible says, make thankfulness your sacrifice to the Lord and keep your vow that you make to the Most High. So this is a vow you gave to each and every individual that you come in contact with this younger generation. You vowed to pour your all into each and every one of them. And I believe at that vow, at that covenant, by you being obedient to that, thankfulness comes naturally. And I believe from that covering that comes with that calling, it continues to cover you, man. So that's dope. And thank you for sharing that dream too. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, Walt, man, it's a lot of individuals that don't tap into that deep place.
Yeah.
And I believe for you to specifically individuals that, may come from the street, You know what I'm saying? They almost feel like what is this? You know what I'm saying? The dream for them is always nightmares. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing they can pull from those moments. So for you to pull light from an opportunity to be darkness, I think that also speaks of your perspective and how you look at specific things.
Most definitely, man. So, what do you think? And everybody all has their opinions, and I see political opinions, I see community opinions, I see people's opinions. What do you think is the solution to this violence problem that we're having here, in Chicago, specifically with our young men?
For violence?
Yeah.
You know what, Walt? When I first got to this region, I knew instantly. Like you said, I spent a couple of months on the north side, and then I came south.
Yeah,
and I was able to observe. It was almost the haves and the have-nots, with only a 10-mile difference. 10 to 15-mile difference.
If that.
If that, right? And so as long as this side say is y'all side that's shooting everybody, and this side is saying you ain't answering or you ain't solving no solution, the devil is an author of confusion.
Yeah.
And so we're basically working ourselves out of unison. Yeah. And when that happens, it's tougher. It's tougher to bridge that gap. It's tougher to build a connection across a specific railroad track if what we've always taught is that it's got to be discombobulated with different cultures and different this and different that. And I think the power that I experienced when I got connected to you was that you wasn't afraid to go to different cultures. You diversified the way that you thought, right? And the coach used to say this all the time: if you do what you always done, you're going to get what you always got, right? Like if you take that same jab step on that counter and you don't read your keys, you going to miss the tackle.
Exactly.
And so we keep seeing the same play over and over. When are we going to call the audible? Can we please call the audible? Yeah. And that's what I believe you're doing. And what I'm trying to do collectively with Male Mogul is call the audible. We see what the defense bringing every single time. They blitzing. You know what I'm saying? If it's blitzing with bullets, if it's blitzing with diversity, if it's blitzing at the mic, like linebacker, if they come in with poverty, like we seeing who coming. Yeah. It's time to call the audible. And the way you call the audible is through a team. The quarterback, the audible means absolutely nothing if he can't effectively communicate it with every single body that's on the field. So the receiver got to get it. The QB got to get it. You know what I'm saying? He got to call it. The center, they got to be on one accord. It's all a team. Yeah. And so I think, you know what I'm saying, for us to be, collectively play football, how dynamic, because what we're really trying to do now is we're trying to call audibles.
Yeah. Bring people together. And I think just with the history of Chicago and it being one of the most segregated cities, in the country, it's just like nobody leaves their side. And I think there's always a lot of misconceptions and I think there's a lot of stereotypes. I think it's a lot of fear. I think there's a lot of mistrust and anger. And like you said, it's like, it's your problem. It's not my problem. But I think what 2020 has done and what the George Floyd and all this has helping us to realize, even with the spread of violence in neighborhoods that usually haven't experienced violence like downtown Chicago, it's helping us to realize that this is a city problem. This is everybody's problem. And it's going to take everybody to solve this. And what I wanted to even go to that next question, how do you think the Male Mogul can impact, the problem just with, our young men and with our, whether it's joblessness, whether it's violence, whether it's, hopelessness, or how can you feel and what do you think the Male Mogul is doing, and what can we do in order to help to, make an impact?
Yeah. So, okay. Wife wisdom quote number 2. Yeah. All right. So knowledge is to know, wisdom is to do. She told me that one time and it was profound. It stuck in my mind. I think to have the knowledge of what's going on in the community and not take a weapon and go do something about it is coward.
You know what, man? I 100% agree with that. And sometimes, and I guess that's just the warrior mentality, the general mentality in me. It's just like, and it's always been in me. And it's just like, I just, you know, I gotta fight, man.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, man. If I'm fighting on my knees, I'm fighting on the field, man. I'm never gonna just turn over and just, I can't do that, man.
That's
it's
the
not in my
mentality.
DNA,
It's a mentality.
you know.
It's a mentality you carry. And I may have talked about this last time, but even when you talk about it from a religious perspective, what our generation needs is more lions.
Yeah.
We've perfected the lamb.
Yeah.
We've perfected the silence of not speaking out when you really getting your toes stepped on. Yeah. I ain't come to bring peace but a sword. Did we read that in the word too?
Yeah.
Did we read that the Messiah flipped tables? Did we read that too? Yeah. Did we read that Abraham in Genesis grabbed 318 men and had them ready to go to war at any moment's notice? Yeah. This is the father of many nations. So how do we keep missing the sword? Yeah. And when I mean sword, I don't mean violence. I mean, what do you have in your hand? What do we have to train our troops? Yeah. You know, if that's coming together at a specific community or a block or, you know, and you said specifically with Male Mogul, if it's getting dirty and getting to the classroom, I'm not sending nobody else into my territory. Yeah. I've taken ownership of that classroom, and I think that's what you do. I think a lot of people, once they have the vision laid out, they're so quick to put the wrong Jimmy and Joes into a right formula. And so it's not, you know, football, we say it's not about the X's and the O's, it's about the Jimmys and the Joes, right?
Mike and Joes. Yep.
And I believe that's a principle that's also true. I don't care how effective your system is. Tom Brady just do different things. Yeah. You feel me? Like LeBron just do different things to the same system. And so, yeah, systems are important, but who you have working them, what the heart you have pouring into those systems, I think makes the difference. And with Male Mogul, with this 1-2 punch of also understanding, you know, how effective you should be academically, while also understanding that they work hand in hand with workforce enhancement and developing your own product. I think those things are the tools we put in their hands, and that's how we teaching them to fish as opposed to giving them a fish.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. And I definitely agree with what you're saying, especially with, like, you know, I don't know who it was, but Martin Luther King or somebody said that, you know, if you have nothing to, or was it dying for? What's the quote? It's like, if you're not willing to die for something, you will stand for anything.
Yeah, you'll fall.
You'll fall for anything.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah, man. And I just think a lot of times it's a lot of people complaining. And it's just like all this, all that, and they expect somebody else to solve the problem. They expect the mayor to solve it. They expect the police to solve it. Everybody wants somebody else to solve the problem that you have power to solve.
Yes.
Whether it's taking that one individual, whether it's even, you know, talking to your cousins, you know what I'm saying? Talking to your nephew, whatever it is, man. I just think a lot of times people want to blame other people, or they want to demonize or criticize, you know, these young people, but don't necessarily know their story. Don't necessarily know what they've been through, what they're going through. You know, the abandonment, the trauma that they have, man, and, you know, prejudgment.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I think when you, especially when it comes to kids, and, like, you know, they'll rise to your expectations. And if you don't expect much from them, then they're not going to amount to much. But if you have expectations, if you have goals, if you believe in them, if you love on them, you know, they'll make different decisions. They'll try, you know, their best, you know, to do and to rise to those occasions. And that's what I feel that the Male Mogul has done with some of the young men that we have mentored, man. We help them to expand their, you know, thinking, help them to bring up their expectations of themselves. And even, you know, going out there, like, you know, before, you know, I used to go to the blocks, to the corners and get young people, hey, come to this program. Hey, we got an open gym, man. You know, some, you know, the most dreaded, you know, tatted, like, hey, you know, we got this going on, man. Come check us out.
Yeah.
And I just think that's how, you know, it's been able to grow, man. And it's been able to just make such an impact because, you know, we went after those people that nobody, didn't want to go after, man. And I'm just, we continue to do those things, man. So I definitely understand that, man, that it's not the lamb. Sometimes it's the lion, man.
It's the roar.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking for a roar. That's why I said, like, when I say speed, I'm also talking roar, right? Mm-hmm. I'm also talking that individual that's ready to hear somebody talk about something. Got something to say, you know what I'm saying? Not always feeling like you got to be silent, but what's pressing me makes me want to speak. Yeah. Why am I always muting my voice, muting my power? Yeah. If words are power, why you keep teaching me to mute them? Mm. How about you direct my words to speak the things that could create power and not negativity? So teach me how to speak. We don't go with that challenge because it's a challenge on us to speak correctly when your next person or the different individual in the grocery store then told you something you ain't really ready to hear. You ain't ready for them to clock in to your study session. But that's really when a young person really need to sit at your feet. It ain't your times of glory, it's your times of story. Yeah. You feel me? And so now, like, how can I look at your story and say, you know what, man, I like how he's creating power with whatever he's speaking. And I think those are the things that changes communities and then classrooms and the way people think. Mm-hmm.
Most definitely, man. And kind of the last thing I kind of just want to touch on, man, is just that as far as with the male mogul, like, what do you see in the future, man? Especially, I just kind of want to just talk about that spiritual development piece that, you're currently developing with these young people and the importance of that, and kind of what do you see the impact of that making, and kind of just, man, just the big dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in Bronzeville, just a little historical fact. So I never knew this, right? Until I started planting myself in the community, that Bronzeville initially came from the skin color. Yeah. Right. And so me being spiritually focused, every time I looked at my Messiah's color, even in the book of Revelation, his feet were fire like brazen, right? You know what I'm saying? It had a bronze tint to him. Whenever you look in the Bible in Daniel, he explains the arms of the Messiah as brazen. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, for me to be in a region where my Messiah feet are planted and his arms are equipped to carry any load, this is where I need to plant. And not only me, but I need to collectively come together with people that hearts are in it. The Bible says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. So I want to see God in a place where people telling me he can't be seen. And I feel like that's Bronzeville. You know what I'm saying? So Bronzeville, I feel like, is a community that's their expectations sometimes has been, I won't necessarily say changed, but I feel like we get the opportunity to curtail that a little bit, right? Mold, right? Yeah. Be the pillars, so to speak. Yeah. And you don't do that unless you get to know and fall in love with the community. So on the spiritual piece, man, I really do see young men getting together collectively. And one thing I've learned while doing ministry is that while you may at first reach the fruit, it's the root that ends up watching. So the parents, right? Yeah. Like for me to be in a classroom setting and for me to see 3 parents pull up to the school and dropping their sons off, right? Like it's me giving the applause for that, and me letting them know that's also spiritual enlightenment, right? I think sometimes when we think spiritual, we think too deep. And it's just loving your neighbor as you love yourself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just me looking at you and you looking at me, and we can read each other and say, yo, like, you gonna make it. You gonna be whatever you see in front of you. And sometimes we forget that principle. We go too deep. You the first Bible a person gonna see. Yeah. If I never opened up a Bible, would I be able to see it in you? Is the laws of God written on your heart, or are you just talking? You just clanging cymbals? And so I feel like my wife said, wisdom is what you do. It's what you do. And so spiritually, I feel like I've been tasked with the responsibility of studying deeper. Like the first episode's called Going Deep. I can't go deep physically until I go deep spiritually, until I go deep mentally, until I go deep in my study, until I go deep in my prayer closet. And that's where I get my goal. And so for me, it's to perfect my private closet so that the public stage, so to speak, isn't for my glory. It's for the man that I keep having communication with in the private room. And so in Bronzeville, I see young men coming out of communities that may have been in gangs, you know what I'm saying? Gang infested communities, drugs, dope. I don't really care what it is. Once the spirit meets the condition, things gotta change.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm more focused on. Well, we said this last time, one man plants, another man waters, but God gives the increase.
Yeah.
My focus can't be increase. Oh, I'm gonna be
It's all good.
the enemy. We don't like this.
Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah, this is dope. We can keep going. Look,
Yeah.
let's go off track for a minute.
Yeah.
The enemy says, or Jesus says this, the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But I come to give you life and life more abundantly.
Yeah.
Boom. Let's go to passage number 2. The greatest among you shall be your servant.
Yeah.
What if this giving us an opportunity to see how people really be there for you and serve when you have things that go wrong and you up under the spotlight?
Yeah.
So maybe this a real life depiction of what really life is. Having those people that you can pull over in the pit stop and they can have your you know what I'm saying, your different things taken care of while you get to keep going. It ain't the person on the stage, it's the person who built the stage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Who the person pulling your curtains?
Yeah.
You get the stage, but who is that person? And so coming into a Bronzeville, for us to have people behind and pulling them curtains, that's how we affect communities. It's not the person on the stage. We should start focusing on the person that pulled the curtains.
Yeah.
That's the power. That's the servanthood that really Jesus showed when he got down on the knee and started washing Peter's feet. Yeah. It's service that's going to change communities. And so thank you so much for being a real live representation of what service really is. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's what we're trying to teach.
Yeah.
That's it.
Most definitely, man. And even just to expound on that, something that's kind of just been in my spirit, you know, for a minute now is revival. And I think, you know, the next revival is really going to be in the streets. You know, I think church is really going to be in the streets. And I think what we're doing, you know, I think a lot of times in the Bible, and I'm not as a savant with the verses and scriptures like my brother DT, but I do know the stories and the themes. And, you know, before Jesus, a lot of times did any preaching, you know, he did miracle signs and wonders. So he showed, he, you know, fed the people. He, you know, performed miracles. He gave them something. And I think what makes the Male Mogul just so powerful is that, you know, we don't come with, oh, listen to us and this and that. We give them something, whether it's paying them to come and learn, whether it's, you know, offering opportunities, exposure, jobs, all these things. I think we've given them something. And once we give them something and they see our heart, they see our commitment, they see, you know, that love, then I think that's where that faith piece comes in. It's like, why are you doing what you're doing? You know what I'm saying? What is it that you have? And it's something that you have that makes you different than everybody else. And how can I get that? You know what I'm saying? It's beyond, you know, how do I get the money, or how do I become a successful entrepreneur? How do I become a successful person? And I think that's where, you know, we're at with a lot of these young men, that they're searching for, you know, yeah, we see this outside success, but there's something that's inside that you have that I don't see everybody else having. And what is that piece? And I think that's where, like, that faith piece comes, man. And I think that's where, you know, these young people are open. And I really think that's where, you know, this revival and these things and this awakening, man, for these young men are going to come. So I'm definitely, you know, excited about the Male Mogul. I'm definitely excited about, you know, where we're going and where we're going to be, and just all the great things that we're happening from a ministry perspective, from an organization perspective, from an entrepreneurship perspective, as, we're continuing to raise funds to offer, microfinancing to the community, helping them start businesses and, workforce and job opportunities and, all these great things, man. I'm just so excited about the support. I'm so excited about this guy right here to the left of me and what he's going to do as far as ministry wise and, location wise. I just think, this is it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Like the things that are going to happen. And I really believe that the Male Mogul will be one of the premier, organizations that will set the blueprint, man, for something that will be, duplicated all across this country and in the world, man. So I just salute you, man. I just say keep doing the work. I'm gonna keep doing the work, man. And I just and we just, give it to God. And I just think, man, the increase is has been and will be more than we ever thought, ask, or could imagine, man. So with that, man, is there any last words you got?
I'm grateful. Like I said, that to begin, this is my mother's birthday.
Yeah.
And so for me to be able to pour her spirit into others from what I have gotten or grown or learned from her, it's a blessing to me. So July 18th, it's a blessing, man. So thank you so much, and we so grateful.
Most definitely, man. Until next time, have a good evening.